Welcome to Contractor Stories. Nathan Shafer, how are you?
Hey, good, Jim. How are you doing?
I am living the dream. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, you and I do a lot of these recordings. We do a lot of podcasts together and videos for your business, but this is going to be a little different today because I'm going to be asking you questions about you and how you became the successful entrepreneur you are at Shafer Heating and Cooling. I know it's a family business. We'll get into all of that. And so it's a little different today, my friend. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So why don't we start off by, in general, telling me and everybody else your story, general story. Then I'm going to get into some specifics. You could begin the story of, well, when I was a boy, I kind of grew up in the business and I thought I might be a doctor, but I ended up being an HVAC guy, that type of story.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so I've grown up in the business my entire life.
Mm.
My dad and grandpa started the business back in '85, and they come from dairy farm. And obviously, when that kind of went to the wayside, they thought we got to change and adapt and do something different. And so they started up. This business was actually called at the time Shafer Mobile Home Service, and started the first few years doing anything and everything to manufactured housing. And a few years later, probably about 10 years in, mid to late '90s, changed the name from Shafer Mobile Home Service to Shafer Heating and Cooling. We focus primarily on just heating and air in all types of residential housing, some like commercial, but primary focus being residential. So I've grown up in it my entire life. If I wasn't in school, I was riding with dad from a very young age, probably about 4 or 5 years old, all the way up and through. And so I started doing installs and going out with the other guys when I was about 12, 11 or 12 is when I started riding with them and not so much with dad anymore. I was always the outside guy, when doing installs. That always got some questions. Customers were, "Hey, who's the kid outside hooking up my AC or wiring things up in the panel box or whatever?" And so the only downfall was that whoever I was working with had to come back through and check, make sure everything was tight enough. That was always, the question. But grew up doing it after I got into high school, started running service. Went to college. I left for about a year and a half. Went to college out in Iowa. I was on the rodeo team out there and competed. Met my wife and took just got an associate's degree in business. Just something I thought I could use, regardless of whatever happened. The plan was to always work in the business, but that's something that obviously I can use in the business as I grow and someday, took over. But at the same time, also as a fallback, just a good basic knowledge. And so, anyways, got that. Came back a year and a half later, and obviously started working full time. Continued to work in service for quite some time. Also continued then to lead install. Got into sales. Worked in the call center. Worked in admin. Worked in marketing, worked in pretty much every area of the business to a point for about 10 or 12 years and got really burned out.
Mm.
My parents were still working in the business at the time. I was wearing in them as well, many, many hats like so many do. And I felt like I was just pulled in so many different directions, working, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, or better. We were getting by, we were okay, but it's not like it was I felt like we weren't getting anywhere in life where we wanted to go or be able to have the freedom or the time and or the financial freedom to do what we wanted to do. We had a young family at the time, but by this point we had 3 kids. And so told my parents, I sat down with them, I was to a breaking point. I said, "Listen, something's got to change, and they said, well, "What do you mean?" I told them, and they said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I mean, the only thing I see is we got to change what we're doing. We got to do something different. I don't know what that is, or I gotta quit. It's not healthy for me, for my family, my relationship, but I'm not a quitter, and this is what I've always seen myself doing. I don't identify by this, but it's everything I've ever done is invested in this company, right? And this is where I see going. And so, anyways, long story short, we discussed, and I said, well, let me do some research, let me do some thinking, let me reach out to some people. That was a thing at that time that really didn't do like a lot of networking. Didn't We always did technical training. And things like that, but I never really had a coach or a mentor or people that I could call out and ask questions to, and
Mm.
that were kind of where I wanted to be, right, or have been there. Not like we do now. Didn't have any of that. It was just always work, 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 work. Always working in the business and not on the business. And so uh, found a coach. and brought that back to my parents. Said, I think I've got the answer. This is it's worth a try. This looks much more promising to me. I think we should try this versus quitting or something else. And we talked about selling and stuff at one point at that time. Like, okay, that would be a way that we could get out. But like so many, it was at that time it was about I think it was about probably one. We probably reached a ceiling about 1.4 million at the time,
Mm.
ish, and 7 to 10 team members, and it just wasn't a real sellable business. And so, like that doesn't make sense. That's not enough. Let's try to build it up. So hired a coach, and man, that was a game changer. Within the first year, took and doubled the business. He made me remove myself from the business and start working on the business. And so, really, that was a huge, scary moment for me. But man, looking back, thank God I did, and that's the direction we continue to go now. So I've always had a coach now since, and that's been about 5 years now, I guess, since that time had happened. And we've continued to grow the business, continue to add team members, continue to add more services now, or electrical as well now, and as well as getting into plumbing. And so just all these great things have come from that. And now, man, I tell you that the relationships that we have, the networking that we do, the people that we're surrounding ourselves with on a regular basis. I mean, heck, just that's how you and I met, right? And that's
Yeah.
all the guys that are on this and gals that are on these podcasts that you do, and the show that you do. That's the beauty of these things that we get to learn from each other. I was lacking all of that before, and
Mhm.
so man, now this opens up so many doors, so many opportunities. So yeah, it's kind of in a nutshell, I guess, quickly, or maybe not so quickly, but where we started to where we're at now to an extent.
Yeah, that's great, and it's come full circle. You found a
Mhm.
coach. Coaching was important for you to take your family business to the next level, and now you help other people in coaching. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I hired that first coach. Really, I seen the difference that it made in my personal life as well as in our business. If you think about it, everything else in life that we do, whether it's sports or fitness, all these different things, like the ones that are most successful have a coach. And business is no different. Business is a sport. Heck, you hear the guys at Real, right? Hey, sales is a sport, and so why wouldn't we have a coach in this? And so I seen the difference, the impact it made in my life. That coach sold his business and had to non-compete different things, and so I went about 6 months without one at the time. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, I got this. I'd been about 3 years in. We made the Inc. 5000 list twice. Got some other awards and different things. It was, you know, um, in a couple magazines, Marquise Who made a Wall Street Journal, just little things. I thought, I'm doing all right. Like we got this figured out. 6 months after not having a coach and that accountability there, and that person to really lean on, ask questions, and just hold me to the fire, I started to see myself take a step or two backwards. I thought, okay, hold on a second. No, that's me, myself getting in my way again, ego maybe getting in the way. And so very quickly went right back to looking for a coach. I found Howard Partridge, and I've always known of him and watched him through Ellen Rohr. I've always seen her mention him quite a bit over the years. I've known Ellen for a long time. And so, anyways, I reached out to him and really hit it off. I really liked everything about him, what he's got, the program that he's got, the systems, um, you know, like-minded. I mean, just so many great things about what he's doing over there. I joined that community, took a lot of my team members into that, especially for the leadership side. Um, of his program, and they started seeing a tremendous difference. I fell in love with him about a year later. He had started a franchise, and so I actually bought a coaching franchise through Howard. So that's phenomenal business coaching powered by Zig Ziglar. And so now I own a coaching franchise and coach other small business owners on how to implement the systems in their business, work on the five main areas of the business: administrative, leadership, operations, marketing, sales, and we take and implement those systems, build up their team, and the idea is to help make that business a predictable, profitable turnkey business in less than 3 years. And so, really enjoying that now. Still, owning and working and growing, and my team here at Shafer Heating and Cooling, but as well as taking some of that time and helping those business owners go through that program and seeing the success in their businesses has been super fulfilling. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for you because you've learned so much from the coaches who have coached you. Now you get to help others by coaching them, but I think it continues to move around the circle because as you teach, you
Oh, 100%.
learn, right? And
100%. Yeah.
one of the best things about coaching, mentoring, and teaching, I find is fulfilling for me, or in your case for you, it helps your coaching client and you learn more yourself, so your foundation gets stronger, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I oftentimes say, like, when we go on a monthly coaching call with one of my clients, man, I feel like I gain just as much, if not more, right? Going through that coaching call and like, man, you know what? I need to be doing this, or this is something that I've seen in my business with my team or with myself, and I'll learn just as much and implement just as much and take away from that just as much, if not more, than the person I'm talking to. When you have to teach something, it forces you to have to go study it, learn it, and or and there's things that aren't going to be my strengths or that I don't know, and that's one thing that I really like about the phenomenal business coaching community is we have uh, multiple coaches within there, and Howard has so many resources and connections, right, relationships that he's really helped me with over the years, and so if it's something I don't know, I'm able to get that person in contact with the right person. Um, there's times I might call Howard, for something. Hey, got a question on this. Hey, you know what? I'm not the best guy for that. Let me get you in contact with, you know, he's put me on the phone with Alan O'Neill and Ellen Rohr or many other people, right? And just hey, let's talk to them. And these guys, they're gonna be able to help you. This is a scaling question. Let's talk to them, or this is a whatever. And so I get to do that as well. And that's I tell you, that's like you said, it's full circle. It really is.
It is. Do you love the space you're in? I know that you're committed to your company name,
Hmm.
Shafer Heating and Cooling. But at this stage of your career, let's say someone offered you a nice, generous buyout. Okay. So they absorb your company and everyone's taken care of. Okay. All
Hmm.
your team members. What would you now do? Would you be a coach full time? Would you start another service business if you were to leave? What would you do?
Well, that's a big question. That's a good
Mm,
one. Yeah, I guess it probably depended on, and I guess let me go back a little bit. So in the past, I would have said absolutely not.
mhm,
No way, like, I'm not doing that. Over these last couple years, and this has came from all the relationships that I've been able to build and people now that, I consider mentors and get to surround myself with that I've met and learned through Howard and these conferences and different things is it's really opened my mind to the opportunity and the possibilities. And there's so many awesome things and opportunities going on right now to where before I said, no way, that's not what I'm doing. I don't want to sell it. To where now I'd be like, yeah, I would absolutely entertain the idea. Obviously, it'd have to make sense to be the right offer, and yes, everybody's taken care of. Are we at that stage yet? Not yet. It's not quite ready yet for what would be make sense to me.
mhm.
We've still got some work to do, but it's something that's very close to where it could be a talking point or a discussion and if it made sense and it was the right partnership to continue to allow Shafer and Cooling to grow and like you said take care of our teams as far as what I would do. um I don't know the way deals and stuff are structured now. It'd probably be a type of deal I'd probably stay on and still work in Shafer Heating and Cooling, and be a part of that depending on what the buyout looked like. Continue to grow it, and I do enjoy what I do. I love being a part of this. I love seeing and helping others grow, and it's cool things we continue to grow. We're able to touch and influence and help that many more people reach their goals and dreams. And I tell you, there's no other feeling like it. It's one thing I've learned over the years. Before it was always fun, yeah, doing the work and performing, and maybe you're winning and accomplishing things, and you feel like you're hitting success and stuff, but there's really no I don't know, I guess you never felt fulfillment there. It's also like more, 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 more. And even though I'm still shooting for more every day, I'm definitely not content with where we're at. I've got huge goals at the same time. Now getting to see others go do that and them reach their goals. It's more of a fulfilling uh, feeling, I guess more of a significance than a success. And so, yeah, I definitely would continue with the coaching. Definitely want to continue to grow that. And doing something like that may allow me to have more time to where I would take on more coaching clients. I try to keep that group pretty small, keep a handful of coaching clients at a time, just so I can really make sure I focus on them and have that quality time with them to be able to help them and coach them and mentor them properly, so that they're getting the value that they need from me. So yeah, good question. I'm kind of thinking as I'm going through that one,
Sure.
like, what would that look like? What would I do next? Great question.
Yeah, and there will be a next at some point
Oh,
because
yeah, 100%.
you're young. You talked about being contentment. That's kind of a tough one for a lot of people. Um, A lot of people will say, I'll be happy when I do this. I'll be able to retire and play golf all day if I do this. A lot of people are never content. They're constantly needing to be fulfilled. It's like a drug. We see it a lot with very successful business owners. Are you on that drug, or could you see yourself at some stage of your life, maybe in 20 years, slowing down a bit?
Yeah, so I think I've partaken of that drug, that addiction, right? You keep going, but at the same time, I've got 3 kids. They're 9. Actually, today is my daughter's birthday. She's 11. My oldest is 12, be 13 here in a couple months. And as I continue to go through life, I start to understand and realize, as more things happen, as more people close to you, you lose. I've had some different things over the past and health and things that's really been scary for a moment, and you start to realize how precious time is, how those precious loved ones are around you, and I've started to value that a lot more, and so it's something I've been working towards. Would I ever just completely stop or be content or just like, hey, that's it? No, I don't think I could probably get to that point. However, slow down a little bit and or
Mm,
reprioritize my time, and absolutely, definitely could see that. But as far as pushing for more, always trying to better my best, I think it's Tommy who always says, or somebody that, today is the best I've ever been, but the worst I'll ever be.
mhm.
Having that same type of mentality, that'll never change. That's just the way I'm wired and my personality type. And so, yeah, that hopefully answers your question.
Sure, and it gets me to thinking, certain things in our lives, we really can't do better at some point. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm overweight. I don't wanna lose weight. I can only lose so much weight, which is a big goal for people. Um, maybe, building muscle, okay? Pretty much you can only go so far. One thing, though, is work and money. There's no end to that, right? In other words, there's
Mhm.
only 24 hours in a day, but I think a lot of people keep score by how much money they make. And, what's interesting is as I've gone through the decades, I'm older than you. As I've gone through the decades, my priorities have changed. And, um, it's interesting because I wanted everything. I figured out I can't have everything. And then I figured out there's always someone better than me, taller,
Mhm.
faster, better looking, more hair, richer, whatever. And so the contentment thing is this, it's a chase, because if we're not content, I believe we'll have a problem at some point. That's why some people just can't, retire. So they're always like having to do stuff, and it's interesting. And so I ask these questions because going through my life, I'm trying to find that balance. And some people say there is no balance. I disagree. I think there is a balance. We might be out of balance once in a while, but we don't have to always be on the ground, right? We could just kind of wobble here and there. And it's an interesting question, and it's different for everybody. And I, appreciate you um, answering that question. Let's talk about things maybe that are a little less comfortable. Regrets. Do you have any regrets? And if so, what's your biggest regret?
Hmm. Congrats. So I would say, I mean, everything happens, for a reason.
Mhm.
I've missed a lot of shots. I've messed up many a times. I've had a lot of failures, but I try to take those obviously and learn from those, and I've always come back stronger because of them. I've I felt like in times in my life so far, I've been on top, of the mountain or the biggest mountain so far for me, in my life opportunities I've had, but I've also been at the very bottom and kicked around and climbed back up. So as I think of regrets, I think really, if I think back probably to that burnout time,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I let that go for too long.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it affected me. It affected my health. It affected my relationships. Affected those around. Affected my team. It really affected the future growth and opportunity and possibility of this company, right? And so everybody involved, the client, the team members, and so I wish I would have. acted sooner. And even still, sometimes that's something I have to remind myself, is if we look back over the last couple years, even when I purchased a company from my parents, I found a lot of things in the financials. And some of those things I fixed right away, other things I didn't, and once again, I should have acted sooner.
Mhm,
And so that's just something I have to remind myself. I'm good about taking action. I step up. I got the vision, got the goal. I'll take action. I start it. But really going through and finishing, execute it, and or doing it right away.
yeah,
Don't wait. Don't, we'll wait till tomorrow. Maybe it'll be better, right? And we'll go focus on this. Maybe that's going to be a big one. That's going to be tough, or maybe it's something you don't know or don't understand. For me, that was the one area I didn't work in the business very much, or hardly at all. Growing up, worked in every aspect of the business except for the financials. And so when I purchased the company, now it's like, okay, shoot, now I got to kind of figure that out too.
mhm,
And so start diving into that, learning a lot more about it so I could ask the right questions. I don't need to do it all, but I need to know enough to be able to ask good questions and have the right people in place to take care of that. And with that, had to, fire within the first year, fire the CPA, fire the accountant, all these different things and bring new people in. And so, I guess the regret thinking back, that's kind of generalized, I guess. But all in all, each scenario I can think of that would be a couple examples, but would be take action and take it faster.
mhm,
Don't wait. This is funny. So I know a lot of people listening to this know Alan O'Neill, Abacus Heating and Cooling, and Plumbing Electric down in Houston. Something he told me. This would have been a few months ago. I was down there with him, and I was talking about adding other services to our companies. Talk about taking action and timing and different things. I said, "Hey, we're looking at adding this other service to our business. What's your thoughts? Going through a couple different questions." And he said, "Well, what's the one thing that you're waiting on?" I said, "Well, I'm just not sure if the timing's right and different things." And he said, "Nathan, he's like, look, here's the deal." He said, "The timing is never going to be, quote unquote, right." He
mhm,
said, "It's like having a baby. If you're going to sit around and wait for the timing to be, quote unquote, right and feel right," he's like, "you're going to be waiting forever."
yep,
And obviously there are some things you need to look at there. And we went into that. But that just talking about timing and taking action and not, I guess, living out of that fear, right? Or wondering just made me think of that. I thought that was a great analogy that stuck with me ever since. And so, yeah.
no, absolutely. Um, People say, "Well, I'll wait to get married," so
Yeah.
they're engaged for 6 years. We'll wait to have kids. Wait to start the business because, um, there's a recession or it's COVID or I'm not old enough or I'm too old or whatever. Everyone's got these reasons
Mm,
that I call excuses, and I
yeah.
agree with Alan. Um, Today's the best day
Yeah.
for everything. Today is the best day. Um,
Absolutely.
it we will have excuses forever.
Hmm.
Nathan, what's your biggest win? Your whole life, what is the number one biggest win you've had?
If I think back, like in as far as the business, a couple that stand out as far as success as we grew, um, I guess awards and things that stand out the most would be making the Inc. 5000 list 2 years in a row. Um, it's not that like does a lot for us or anything now, but at the time, and that wasn't just me, that was our entire team, right? But it took me getting out of the way to allow that to happen. And
Mhm,
so making the Inc. 5000s, I don't think is sure that's what it's labeled as, right? But that wasn't the true win. It was the fact of me growing as an individual and growing as a leader and stepping away and getting out of the way and allowing my team to grow, allowing those around me to grow, allowing to start building, leaders within the team. And when we started doing that, and it wasn't everything coming through me or bottlenecking through me or me holding up the progress of not only this team, the company, but their lives, their personal lives, their goals, their dreams. Um, I think that is probably one of the biggest wins, and that continues to go now day in and day out.
sure.
Y- y- you know, it, uh, I heard someone say once that my dreams got to be, big enough to where we can fit everyone else's dream into.
Mhm,
And so that's just one example. So I would say the award, I guess, was probably making Inc. 5000, but it's what it took to get to that point as we continue to grow and seeing others grow and succeed because of that. And we've got some big goals for this year as far as on our team, and my team knows what those are, some personal goals that I want, and those tie right into their goals, and it's going to achieve or help them succeed in their life goals and dreams. So, I mean, heck, this business has got to be the vehicle, right, that gets us where we want to go in life, and that's not just me. That's our team members as well. So,
Well, absolutely. You're very good at a lot of things. You have to be able to run the businesses you run and, you know, be the head of your family. Not that your wife isn't as well, but both of you heading up that with children. And I know you do a lot with them. You travel with them, and um, so since you're good at all these different things, what is your number one thing? What is the superpower that Nathan Shafer has? If you have a superpower, what is that?
hmm. So I would like to. I guess I would like to think, and I guess it comes up quite a bit, is the to be able to influence.
Mhm,
And I think that comes in a lot of different ways, right? In the ways that you influence. And so, leadership would be one thing. And so, not just here at work and the business of those around me, but, and you don't have to be in a certain job title, right, to be a leader. I mean, heck, we build a team of leaders here, and in the way that we lead by example and the way that we help others, we inspire them and encourage them and build them up. And that's not just for those here on my team, but that's in my family, my household, like you just mentioned. That's at church. I'm a leader at our
mhm,
church as well, and everybody we come in contact with. I think thoughts is another one, and so the way that I'm able to influence those around me with their thoughts, the way people think about business, about success, about personal growth. And a lot of that comes from aligning and myself and hanging out with mentors like Brian Tracy and Howard Partridge and Weldon Long and all these different people, right? That help train the mind. It's a powerful tool, so
mm,
that I'm able to take and control mine, but also take that influence into others. I think influence can be important and used in a way that around the community. Um, People are always watching. They want to see what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it. Is it real? Are you genuine? Are you authentic? Are you honest? Um, and so the things that we're involved with, whether it be veterans appreciation things and giveaways, the way that we serve, the way that we help others. I think there's a lot of impact that we can have in our community. I think I strive. I wouldn't say obviously we're doing a great job or perfect at anything else, but I strive to really make sure that we have a lot of influence there and that people see that.
mhm,
Um, and then obviously I think another one would just be influence by example. Just the am I walking the walk, right, or walking the talk, I should
mhm,
say,
yep,
in what I say, right? It's one thing to go out and teach it and talk about these things and coach or whatever else, but are you doing it, right? Am I doing it? So I think influence through example, and what I do in my practice and what I preach, would be another. So I think influence would be one, and something I put a lot of thought and effort into to try to be the best that I can in all those different areas, at all times.
absolutely. Nathan, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? What kind of advice would you give yourself now looking back?
I would say enjoy the journey.
Mm,
Um, yeah, as to number one, first thing that comes to mind as it continued to push, right?
mhm,
Uh, and just go, go, go. It's easy to put your head down, and you can have all these accomplishments along the way. You can meet all these awesome people, build all these awesome relationships, have a perfect family, all these different things. But man, if you don't enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and be thankful for the losses and the challenges as well. I mean, like I said earlier, that makes you stronger and makes you who you are. It's gonna make it better for the next time something else comes up. It's all part of it. So I would say definitely enjoy the journey. When you have those wins, I don't care if they're small or they're big. I'm a high D personality. I study disc and get certifications in that. Uh, the secret fuel of a high D personality is getting results. It doesn't we don't have to be, like, winning big all the time. I mean, obviously, it does excite me a lot more, and I can probably run through any thickness of brick wall if we're hitting big results day in and day out, but just to have consistency and constant results, right,
mhm,
is what just fuels me to no other. And so, with that, though, you gotta stop and celebrate them and enjoy the process along, because otherwise it's easy to get through all those, and then you think back and you can forget most of them or not even realize that happened. And so be thankful, be grateful, and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great advice. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me today here on the podcast. I really appreciate it, my friend.
Hey, yeah. Thanks for having me, Jim. Happy to share, and hopefully this helps somebody out there. So thank you. Thanks for all you do for all of us contractors.
Absolutely. And I'm going to put your contact information, including if someone wants to get a hold of you for more coaching information,
Yeah,
in the show notes.
perfect. I appreciate that.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.